Check this out, dudes. We're actually joining the throngs of backyard beekeepers for real. We've actually started off with bloomin' normal hives and we've worked our way backwards instead of forwards. A lot of people get a Flow Hive first up and then get some other hives because of course the bees breed their asses off. But we've had requests from all of you viewers to actually give the Flow Hives a crack. And what's more, you've emailed the boys at Flow Hive and they've sent us one to try out. So how bloody good's that? So cheers on to the Flow Hive boys for getting involved. And thank you viewers for giving them a rouse up. So it comes pretty cool. You get 2 packets, which is pretty awesome. So I reckon this is your brood box and actually your super box. And that looks like your little, we haven't opened this one yet. Maybe we'll open that because I know what's in here because I couldn't help myself. But I haven't opened this one yet. So this is the technology part of the beehive. Oh, it's very nicely packaged up.
This is like Christmas. Oh,
Like it's the back scratcher. What was that from The Simpsons? Back scratcher, back scratcher. Anybody want a back scratcher? Anyway, I'm being silly. That's the cool key that turns the frames. How cool's that? I think my first piece of advice just right now is don't lose anything because I'm pretty sure all of this shit's important. There's got to be some instructions here somewhere. And I would imagine being me, I've started backwards. Beekeeping safety. There's got a whole lot of cool basic beekeeping directions, which is kind of cool. So what have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Cool. We'll open this and see what this looks like. So I think this is the fancy part of the whole program, isn't it? Wow, look at that. Oh, okay, so that's your honeycomb. Cool. Anyway, we better get ourselves organised because it's getting bloody hot in here. We're going to get our brood box organised and we'll check this out in a minute.
Woohoo, look at that, eh? That looks pretty bloody snazzy.
I have a sneaking suspicion that's a special hat in there.
Look at that. Look at that. That's what I wanted. I wanted one of them, but with the bush bee man on the front. But we've got one with the flow on it. That's pretty cool. Let's put that on.
What do you reckon? Do you reckon if we made a fly-proof bush bee man hat, that would work?
How cool is that?
They'd want to be friendly bees if you were just going to wear this, but anyway. So we've got the top board cover, so you can seal the girls in a bit, keep them nice and cosy. And then we've got the queen excluder.
Oh, look at that.
More directions. So this will be our bottom board. I would say that's to keep, so you can put that in there for the bugs. That's sort of everything, these lads. Now that's a bit interesting. That will be the opening, won't it? And they'll be sloping backwards. Very cool. That looks nice. Looks a little bit like a pre-made shed. It's got all the pre-holes drilled. Crikey. Hope I don't screw this up. Oh, and we've got some frames. Very nice.
What have we got?
So I always say this is the super box, the top bit. These are all your end boards. These are your side boards, I should say. Sorry, because that's the long bit. Normally when I put my wooden boxes together, I treat all these open bits, the tongue and groove when you put it together, because obviously your paint or your sealant isn't going to get in here, so I usually paint that with a bit of pink primer if I'm doing the paint, or a bit of linseed oil if I'm not, or tongue oil, which is what we're going to use for this because it's kind of cool. So I'm just following the directions, and I would imagine the first thing, or the most important thing to do, is what I always do anyway, is make the brood box first. So we've put all the super components out the way, and we've got the brood box pieces here, and I'm just looking at our little packets here, which is all very conveniently packaged up. So they've got their brood box screws in one line, and they've got the super screws and the other bits and pieces in another bag, and the other cool bits of wood that we've put together. So we'll just sit it all together first before we screw anything. So as I actually make sure all the tongue and grooves are all perfect. They usually are pretty good when they've been, like these have been pretty professionally done. So that'd be all, well, you'd expect it professionally done, wouldn't you? Golly gosh, it is a Flow Hive after all. So we'll just make sure all the tongues are nice and snug.
Oh.
Now of course, if you wanted to get excited, you can go and get yourself a pair of clamps. But being that I've done a few of these, what I will go and do though is a set square, so I just double check that we get it all nice and beautiful. So hold that thought. Just make sure you put it, this one's actually got a cool screw setting, so that you can't get too carried away. Don't have it on the drill setting so the bloody thing will bloom and drive the head straight through the top of the whole thing. Because after all the effort of getting your nice Flow Hive, you don't want to be one of those customers that ring up and say, can I have a new end because I got carried away with me drill? So, just something to remember. Don't get carried away with your screwing together straight away, because you want to be able to wriggle it a little bit. But the cool thing about tongue and groove is you're really hard pressed to screw it up, but hopefully if I screw it up we won't show you. Well, I reckon that's that put together, which is pretty cool. I reckon maybe we might just put one of the frames together just to show you how to do that, even though, like I said, we're going to use an established beehive that we've already got here. But we might just do that so you can see that part, because that'll be the next bit you'll need to do. On the directions here, it has like a little bottom, like a strip for the comb guide, which is a kind of cool idea, because it would probably not be the easiest option to actually send stuff in the mail with the wax sheets or plastic sheets. So you got this nice little bit of strip of wood for them to get started building on. So that'll be a nice little building frame, so the ladies will come up here and know where to start building their comb, and they'll make little circles for a start, which will be kind of cool, and then eventually they'll fill it all in. So anyway, so you just put your little ends on your top and your little bottom bar. Now these have got a groove at the top and the bottom, so you could use a plastic foundation. Also got your holes for wax foundation. So you got to make sure you got it square. When you make your frames up, you got to put 2 nails in the top, because obviously this is when you're going to lever it out of your hive. You're going to be putting a lot of pressure on this, or you can put one in this way. You only need one in the bottom one, because that's not going to take anywhere near as much pressure. And then we'll just sit that in your brood box, and away we go. Cool, so that'll be a little perspex window, but we won't need that just yet. So we'll pop that over here. So we've got this cool end, which is the bit that you open up to get to your honey flow, to make sure that that goes over there according to those pictures. Of course, just making sure we've got the handles at the top.
Whew, that's pretty snazzy.
I would suggest we don't screw that bit, because that's got to come in and out. So this bit is the bit you screw, I reckon, by the look of it. Whew. Just put a screw in here to get it started, just so as we've got one spot that's secure. That'll be a good place to start. Oh, that's right, there's another piece that goes on there, isn't there? So there's a metal strip that goes across here. This is so your cool door's got something to sit on. I don't know. I don't know, but I haven't actually asked them, but it would be really interesting to know how many bloody years did they take just to figure this little bit out. Never mind that bit, that's kind of crazy. Actually, that's kind of totally cool, but we'll get to that. But just to work out actually how to put the box together to put that in is kind of pretty cool. If a bloke had 2 drills, he wouldn't have to keep swapping over, would he? And hopefully by pushing it into the spot where I think it will be, we're not going to make the door too tight. And before I send it all the way home, we'll make sure the door can come off, on and off, which it does. That's looking pretty good so far. We're up to the window bit now, so we're going to peel off our cardboard. No, what is that? Protective layer, I suppose, whatever that's called. Got a nice little recess for the perspex to sit in, which is kind of groovy, so we'll get this off here. It's so bloody hot, the paper's melted to the plastic. I'm assuming they've got it on this, but you'll be able to look in the end too. But you'll be able to look at the side, and if you get the honey super full to there, you'll be pretty right, I reckon, because I don't suppose you pull the frames out. I reckon you just look at them, and then away you'd go. You'll be able to get the kids involved, because they'll be able to see the bees and not have to be of any worry to them. Cool. Twang! A bit like my bloody other observation hive with smashing the window. But this is Perspex, so we're all good. Awesome. That's looking really good. So we'll get our handle on the other side view part, because we've got to put some little bits to hold that on. It's a bit like the TV of old. I mean the box. Because that's what it used to be called, wasn't it? Look at you, you're on the box. I reckon it would be very helpful if they had to put the handles on it before I put it in there. Very groovy. So we might do that. We'll screw a handle on there. Oh! Set this up so we can do the little lip bits. And we've got these little bits. Like, they've made this so cool that it's a nice centerpiece for your backyard. So when you're having your barbecue, or when you're having your mates around for dinner and you say, hey, let's get some honey chicken organised, and you go, oh, it's a pity we haven't got actually honey at the moment. Oh, it's all right, we'll just nip out to the hive and grab some. Something very important to remember, according to these directions, is that when you put these little knobbly bits on to hold that in there, you put a little bit of a spring-loaded part on there, because otherwise you're going to have that so jolly tight it won't be able to move. Of course, if you don't have it tight enough, then it won't jolly well hold anything in. So, very clever thinking. We've got a little spring-loaded thing. And that's in the spot. Good. I don't think you want it too crazy tight. But that's bloody clever. Like I said, I think these blokes might have made a couple of these and figured all this out. It's very well done. Hello. Goodbye. And we want to put a couple of handles on this one. That looks pretty groovy. That's going to be a little ledgy bit that you pull out to do your turn keying. We might as well put the handles on that while we've got it. Bloody hell. And then we've just got one little bit to hold you up that bit on. Oh, anyway, that's a bit of a bummer. Looks like the computer forgot to put a spring in. But anyway, that's all good. You'll be able to follow us along to talk to the Flow Hive folks at their problem-solving site, I'll bet you. And they'll probably have to mail me a new spring, but anyway, it won't matter. For this little bit, we'll just put it on here so we can stain it up at least. Don't get carried away screwing it down too hard. I don't think it'll be the end of the world for this particular part of it anyway. Well, there we go for the lid. We're going to get to the fancy bit of roof happening. So I figure I'm just going to put a few little pilot holes just so the screws have got something to go to. I don't want to split this wood, that'll suck, wouldn't it? This bit here is a different height to that as I showed you earlier, obviously because it's got to fit this little door. So you've got to have that little door so you can get to work your mechanism. A little bit of ridge capping happening. We'll just pop that one in there because that looks like that goes there anyway. Looks like we'll screw them down as we go, so we've got to hold together. Cool. That looks good. So then I would imagine when we're putting it together, we've got our brood box, we've got our little queen excluder. It would be rather interesting if they actually started laying eggs in the jolly thing upstairs, wouldn't it? Anyway, that's not going to be a good idea. That's got to be there. I'm thinking since we've got to this point that we're a little bit pressed for time, what we might do is get our tug oil, or tongue oil. I don't know, we're arguing about how the pronunciation of this. I think it's tongue. Apparently it's from a cool seed. We might get some of that oil, paint it up, let her sit over here for a bit before we put our cool ass Flow Hive honey supers on the top. Well, that's a nice finish, all the tug oil soaked in. I reckon that's looking pretty good. I reckon we're about ready to get some bees organised. And now we've just got to unpack our flow frames, pop them in the super, and go and get some chicks organised so we can get some honey on tap. So I've never actually played with this Flow Hive before, so I thought we better have a look at the directions. And it says we've got to test them out just to make sure it works before we put them in our super, which is a good option. It looks like you put it in the bottom bit and give it a half crank, and then they should be opened up. Did that move at all? I didn't see from the side. Doesn't move very far. Take it out, pop it in the top, and wind it back the other way. That's pretty bloody ingenious. I just thought I might show you the little tubes. Obviously, when we get to the honey part, you just take out your little cork here, pull that out. So there's just a little cutout on that part that goes in, a little spot where it slots into. Otherwise you're going to end up with honey on the ground, which would be a bit sad. Then obviously you take that out, put your little crank handle in, give it a little turn, pop, and out flows some beautiful nectar without any effort. How bloody awesome's that? So this is our brood box, and as I was saying, we've already got some bees on some frames, so we're just going to pop them in the brood box, and then away we go. Got our bees in there, we've got a queen excluder, put our cool ass super on the top. Make sure she's all a bit square. And then you're going to want your cover board, keep all the ladies nice and cozy. Yep, and then we've got the lid. Well, there's the construction part. Now, just if you happen to be doing this from like a package of bees or a little swarm that's turned up, don't put the super on straight up because you'll be getting a little excited. So you just want the brood box and let the ladies build some brood comb and get themselves established before you put the super on. Otherwise they've got too much room to expand and keep organised, and next thing you know you'll have bloody wax moths or hive beetles or goodness knows who else turns up. We'll get ourselves organised and pop the bees in there. My dear wife's going to be most excited when she gets home and sees this in her backyard. I reckon it looks bloody awesome too. Thanks for the team at Flow Hive for sending it along and letting us try it out. So if you want to get your hands on one of these cool Flow Hives, we've put a link in the descriptions, and if you click on that and purchase it through Amazon, that'll help us to help make the show keep ticking along. Oh, just put that there for a minute. Gosh, that's a bit of a workout. So as I said, we're kind of cheating a little bit because we've got an established colony here. So we're just going to give them a bit of smoke, and we're going to move them out the way and put our new Flow Hive where they are. And of course they're already orientated to this spot, so I figure, well, that'll save us a little bit of excitement. And it's in a beautiful garden setting, and my dear wife's been planting flowers for them to live on, so I thought this is ideal. Well, this is what we're going to do, but if you're getting a package of bees, you'll do it slightly different. You'll just actually want to put your box there, get your package of bees, shake them in, let your queen in, and just put the lid on and just let them relax for a little while. They'll take, I don't know, anywhere from probably 2 months to get up to speed before you want to put the super on. But you'll know anyway, by the time you have a look in the brood box, you'll see the frames fill up, and you'll know when they're full enough to actually put the super on. But don't put it on too soon, because the lady's got to keep everything at the right temperature, and that just makes it hard for them. I'll just make sure it's a bit level. Make sure you got your recessed bits for the frames to sit in at the top. Handles up the top, of course. That would be a fair indication if you put it together right. Yeah, let's just have a look what's going on inside here. This isn't the strongest hive that we've got, but it's in the right spot, so poke a bit of smoke under there. Hello ladies, what's going on? Oh, they're actually doing a bit. They've actually bred up a bit since the last time I was here. just lift our queen excluder off. And as usual, we want to take the second frame along, because otherwise you don't want to be levering against the side of your actual box. So we'll just lever them up. And then while we're doing this, we'll have a bit of a look, see what the brood looks like, see how they're all getting on, see how the nectar flow is happening, if it is happening. See if we can see the queen. All of those things that you're supposed to do on a brood inspection. Since we're moving the brood. There's a couple of drones running around. We've got a little bit of nectar going on, which is good. Now, just as a footnote, remember when you're moving an established hive like this, you want to put the frames all back in the same order and the same direction as they came out of the box that they were in. And we've got a few little stragglers left in here. We're just going to sit them up the top. There we go. And I'm just going to sit that up. Just brush those ones off the front. Get off of there. Sit here for a minute. And we'll just sweep these little ladies down on where we want them. Their scent is all in this box that we're sweeping them out of, so we're not 100% sure what's going on in a minute. They seem to be happily going down into their brood chamber, which is cool. So we're just going to take this box away in a minute, so then they'll get all reorientated to their new home. We'll just sweep them in. A lot of them will fly anyway. But you just want to make sure, some of them will be little blooming brood bees that aren't really flying a lot just yet. So don't just shake them out into the open and hope they'll fly home. You want to sweep them into where they want their new home. Of course, all the girls that are flying all around everywhere else, they'll figure it out soon enough. But you just want to be a bit careful with the brood bees, really, the ones that are young and haven't actually got organised to fly a whole lot just yet. So now we want to just pop the queen excluder on before we put our super on. So we might just clean that bit of blooming muck off of there while we're here. We might as well tidy things up. That'll make the excluder sit better. Get off the chicks. Now once this is sat here for a little while, they'll get some populace and stick it all together and it will all be fine anyway. So don't worry if it's a little bit slippery. We'll just pop this on and I reckon we're ready for the super. Now like I said, don't rush that if you've actually got a package of bees or a small swarm. You don't want to be rushing ahead like this, but this way we can show it working pretty quick. Make sure she's all nice and lined up. Of course you want your door at the back because that's where the harvesting is going to be happening. Looks good. And I reckon we need a lid. Cool. So there's our groovy flow hive in the garden. How bloody awesome is that? And as you would, you know, when you're getting something new, you get on the internet and you check out all the feed and all the people and all the talking that's going on. And there's a few people that get excited that, you know, a flow hive's worth, I don't know, a little under $1,000. But hell, if you went out and bought yourself a set of golf clubs, there'd be a few $1,000 in that. And this way, you get something out of it. You get to have a jar of honey that you could take to your mate's house and say, shit, let's make some honey crackles with my honey. So I reckon it's a bloody good idea. So if you'd like to get a flow hive in your backyard, why don't you go to the bottom of this video and there's a link there you could click on, and if you purchase it that way, it'll help us to help you see more of us in the beekeeping world. So I'd just like to say yet again, thanks to the team at Flow Hive, and I reckon it's a bloody ingenious piece of machinery myself. I think you lads have put a lot of effort into this, and I don't know, I haven't got any honey happening yet, but I'm pretty impressed. I reckon you should be proud of yourselves.